There was a time when I was 14, or near the age. I was playing with my brother and sister, and we heard a knocking at our door. I had a strange feeling, and I looked outside my window. My big brother came out of his room and told us to get away from the door. We went to my mom, and we were told to be quiet. My big brother came back and said to my mom, "They want you." They pretty much asked if they could come in. There were two men dressed in black and white suits, almost like Men in Black with sunglasses. They took off their glasses and they had black eyes, but it was as if they flickered. Then they walked away and got in their car. My mom had gotten into the car to follow them. She followed them to a Jehovah's Witness building. They made a left or right turn, and they vanished. From being spiritually aware, personally, we believed they were aliens, but we haven't seen or heard from them ever since. Ever since I was 8, I would dream of things that were to happen in places I knew or thought I knew. I would dream of myself lost and grown up. I had the same dream yearly and monthly. When I turned 10 years old, I would find myself moving into a house where many of my family members had paranormal encounters. They would see a child's shadow or a man in black riding a black horse. When I was around people, we were at peace and would see or hear anything. Months after, I would smell colognes and perfumes or hear a woman call my name. I never felt scared, although I feel watched and protected. At the age of 20, I was scared by something I felt sat on top of me, and I heard it speak in a dark voice. Currently, I started seeing weird flower and zodiac signs as if they were tattooed in my arms. I also have some sort of vision that comes true and sense things that have bad aura. Sometimes I say things that I don't know about or speak of things I don't know as they come true. Okay, so this happened to me a long time ago. I think I was in junior high, but that's not important. I remember I was in the process of moving, and most of my family's stuff was packed, and that night I went to sleep. Then for some reason, I woke up in the middle of the night. As I slowly opened my eyes, I began to see some bluish figure standing in my doorway. I was shocked that something was there, but as my vision got clearer, I began to make out what it was. It looked like some man wearing the kind of clothes you would see people from the American Revolution era. I only say this because I recognize the hat and coat. He was looking down at the hallway from my room's doorway, but then he turned his head towards me. I just remember being terrified, and I tried my best to move, but it was like I was paralyzed, because as soon as I saw this thing, I gasped and could not even shut my mouth. But as soon as he turned his head and looked at me, he started to fade away, and I could move again. I come down to the kitchen for breakfast on Saturday morning. My mom and sister are both already up, and they look exhausted. My mom asks, "Did you sleep all right?" "Yeah," I said. "Even after you woke up?" "I woke up." Sometime in the middle of the night, I had started screaming. My mom rushed into the room and found me sitting up in bed screaming, "Roy! Roy! Roy!" She did her best to calm me down while shooing away my angry sister who had stormed into the room to find out what was going on with me. She asked me who Roy was, but I would only say that he was a bad man. I didn't say anything but Roy is a bad man. I'm shocked as they're telling me all of this, and they're surprised I don't remember. But then again, I'm the sound sleeper of the house who can doze through the most violent of lightning storms. We write it off as some weird nightmare that I don't remember. Years later, I'm off at my first year of college. My mom sends me a videotape in the mail. She didn't mention it before I'd left, as in, "Hey, keep your eye on the mailbox," or anything. I press play, and it's my mom taking a video camera through our house. She was moving, and sent me the tape as one last walkthrough of the now empty house before she left. It was sweet and a little tear-jerking, until she said, "So here's something you might find interesting," when she approached a closet in her bedroom. The closet, aside from being the hiding place for all the Christmas gifts, was always packed full of old luggage and other odds and ends. You could only go 3 feet in there before you'd have to start climbing on things to go farther. She goes in with the camera, and I see that there's a purple crayon stain all over the wall, down at the height where a small child would draw. There are random scribbles, some stick figures, something that may have been a dog. I was puzzled because I had no memory of ever playing in this closet, and I don't know how I would have drawn on the walls when they were, in my mind, always covered. Then the camera comes in to a word on the wall, Roy. And my mom must not have remembered that night. She said on the tape, "Roy? I wonder who Roy is." I would like to start off by stating that this story is told in the perspective of a woman. One of my close friends found this site and insisted that I share my stories with others who will not criticize me or claim I'm a liar. And I'm not much of a storyteller either, so I can assure you that this story is 100% true. It all began when my 13-year-old daughter, Lily, and I went to New Jersey in the summer of 2013. We were visiting my sister, Judith, and her new husband for the summer. Their house isn't like these old, creepy houses with cobwebs hanging in the doorway. It's a beautiful 2-story house that was built just the year before. I suspected nothing would ever go wrong until I met my sister's husband, Ryan's cousin, who was staying with them until he got over his major cocaine addiction. I never let my daughter go near him or stay too far out of my sight. Lily is smart, but her fatal flaw is that she's always too trusting of people around her. As a mom, that adds to my list of reasons that I'm so protective of her. The summer was starting out great. The house had a large pool that was wonderful because it was indoors. The house formed a sort of courtyard around the pool, and it was where we lounged on the chairs and enjoyed summer. It was about 2 weeks later when Lily was swimming in the pool. It was just us in there, and I was sitting at the edge of the pool when I saw Ryan's cousin staring down at Lily from one of the windows. I grabbed Lily and wrapped a towel around her quickly. My motherly instincts kept telling me something was wrong about that man, and I'll never forget the way he looked at my daughter. In the weeks to come, odd things began to occur. Lily wasn't the same at all. She would mumble nonsense words, and didn't like to go out of the room either. One night, I decided to go see her. I opened her room door, and she was gone. It was late, and I frantically searched the house for her. When I passed Greg's, who is Ryan's cousin's, room, I heard Lily's voice from inside. I slowly turned the knob, and saw the scariest thing in my entire life. Lily was laying in the floor in only her underclothes, and Greg was reading from an old leather book in a language that I've never heard before. I just opened my mouth to yell bloody murder when a dark mass collected and flew over, growing larger with each second. I belted towards Lily, swooped her up in my arms, and ran to my car as fast as I possibly could. As I was putting a blanket over her, I heard her whispering over and over again. As long as Greg is still there, I refuse to visit Judith at that house. Days later, I had Lily blessed by a priest, and since then, not once did she ever mutter.